Good day everyone, this is my work for the Odyssey infographic. Here we have the scene from the Odyssey and this is its modern day counterpart. Okay, let's start off with the scene from the Odyssey. This build depicts Odysseus in the land of the dead, where it is seen that he is talking to Elpenor, his companion. Elpenor died after drinking too much wine and falling off a roof. As they were talking, Odysseus learns that Elpenor wants to die an honorable death, be given a funeral, and be buried. All he wants is not to be forgotten, and that men to come will learn his story. His not being buried is not giving honor to the dead in Greek culture. Additionally, Elpenor makes his request on the people special to Odysseus, to further ensure that he will fulfill this. Here we have Elpenor and here we have Odysseus. Its modern day counterpart is this build here. This build shows the helpless victims of the war on drugs by the previous administration. As we can see, there's a policeman who shot a civilian, and another planting drugs in his pocket and a gun. The person dead on the floor is a young student in his household clothes, representing Kian Del Santos, a student unjustly killed due to the war on drugs. This is one of the many cases, however many are simply forgotten and made into statistics. Beside the three people, we see a tomb with a sign that says the number of people who died due to the said project. This large amount of deaths desensitizes us and we see people as just numbers, as not every death is reported and not all deaths were honored. Here is the tomb. And here we can see the policeman planting the drugs and the policeman who shot the student. The first similarity is about the dead being forgotten. In the book, we can see that Elpenor definitely does not want to be forgotten, shown in the lines, "Then and there, my lord, remember me, I beg you. Don't sail off and desert me, left behind unwept, unburied. And so even men to come will learn my story." Though he was not famous or had any fancy title like Odysseus, Elpenor was still a man who had a journey, a story to learn from, and a family back home. In relation to the context of the real world, many victims of injustice from the war on drugs are forgotten. Fortunately, however, there are still people who fight for them and constantly remind us of these helpless victims and the situation of our country. We must remember that these people are not simply just statistics, as they had a life, their own families, and their own roles to fill. They cannot be removed from our memories, especially to us, the youth, as we must not repeat the mistakes from the past that caused deep pain to the Filipinos. Just like the line from the book says, we must learn from the stories of others and remember what happened to them. We must not simply leave them behind unwept and unburied, just as Elpenor said. The souls of the victims are not simply left in the streets, they live forever in their fellow Filipinos. Honoring a person's death is also both relevant in the present and the time of Odysseus. In Greek culture, being unburied is a sign of not honoring the dead, which is why Elpenor was pushing to be buried as he wanted to be honored. This can be seen in the lines, "No, burn me in full armor, all my harness, heap my mound by the churning grey surf, and perform my rites, and plant on my tomb the oar I swung with my mates when I rode among the living." We can see that being buried is really a big deal to Elpenor, so that his soul may truly rest in peace.
In the modern time, we must also honor the death of others.
In the context of my build, the victims were not simply victims of police brutality. They had their own contributions to honor, just like the line that says to plant the oar Elpenor swung when he was alive. Additionally, we may not be related to them, but we can honor their death by giving them the justice they deserve through stopping the spread of fake news and opening the eyes of other people who are not aware of such issues in the country. It is important that we show others the facts and let the dead rest in peace by not spreading lies about them, because even if they used drugs or not, they still were not given due process and were killed instantly. More importantly, we must focus on what they did. If they were a teacher, a parent, a student, and so much more. If honoring death in the book is being burnt in one's full armor, its counterpart today is telling the full truth about one's experiences. The last similarity is how both deaths were abrupt and those who died were unaware of their fates. The line, "I'd bedded down on the roof of Circe's house, but never thought to climb back down again by the long ladder. Head first from the roof I plunged, my neck snapped from the backbone, my soul flew down to death," from the book, shows how Elpenor's death was really unexpected. Similarly, victims of the drug war were also unaware that their lives would be harmed. For Elpenor, he drank too much and unintentionally fell off the roof. so in effect, he was not able to properly say goodbye to his family or crewmates. For the war on drugs, on the other hand, the victims did not know that they would die either, causing shock to everyone and leaving no time to say goodbye to their loved ones. Even if both died suddenly, there is one thing that both Elpenor and the victims of the drug war ask for, and that is due process. For Elpenor, he asked to be buried, as shown previously. His due process is receiving the burial and having his death honored by his friends and colleagues. While those who died from the drug war can no longer ask for anything, their families and human rights activists ask for one thing, and that is that those suspected of using drugs may undergo trial and instead of being killed, be sent to rehabilitation. Killing people or putting them in jail without proving their crime will not solve anything, and will even cause more problems. Thank you all for listening.